So, everybody, when you have a dog like Wally, who is reactive and aggressive on a leash, a harness is not the right tool to be able to resolve this issue. Right? So I had asked his owners to give me a collar. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to a leash and collar because I can't redirect Wally's attention in the right manner with a harness. Right? You could pull the dog away with a harness. But Wally, if he fixates on a kid, a dog, someone on a bike, whatever, you have no ability to break that fixation at the right moment to prevent him from escalating his demeanor and behavior towards whatever it is he's fixated on. So, if the instruction that I give with the leash and collar, which I've walked Wally before with leash and collar, he does pretty well. But if he doesn't, then I have a small halty for him, which will most assuredly get the job done. But I'm telling you guys, listen, the right tool, or I should say the tools you're using does matter. You want to make sure you have the right tool for the job. And in a lot of cases, it's because people use harnesses that these problems continue and they get more and more out of control. And you can't address the dog in the correct manner to be able to move in the other direction. Now, you may have a period of time where you go to, say, a halter or a collar, but when the correct state of mind has been achieved in the dog and these things are no longer an issue, you could go back to a harness if you want, right? But I would say the only time and place that should be done is when you have consistently, or when you have a level of consistency from the dog in all contexts. Say when you're walking, you could pass dogs, kids, people on bikes, anything that used to trigger them. And there's a level of consistency day to day to day where you don't have these issues anymore, then you can go back to something like a harness. So we're back at the park. All right. So we got a lot more action today. Which is very good. This is what I was hoping for. He's already passing kids, dogs, doing great. Let's see what he does at the park. Yeah, let's see what he does at the park. This is what I really wanted to come back here for. Let's see what Wally does with these dogs here. Alright, he's getting a little huffy. Come here, buddy. This way. What you think? Okay. Actually showing a little discomfort. He was growling there a little bit. Okay, he actually wants to move away from me. I'll let him do that. Excellent, Wally. Excellent. Here. What do you think? No? See, this is new. Usually he'd be moving towards the dogs. Right now you're moving a little too quick there, buddy. Now he wants to move away, which I have no issue with. Excellent. And unfortunately, Wally's having some issues with his knees. And so we can't walk too long. And the issue is, too, if he starts lunging at things, it puts a lot of stress on his knees. And so I want to get him to a place where it's just not an issue anymore, and so he's not putting all that unnecessary stress on his joints. Okay, so we got kids over here. She can hear the swing sets. Normally he freaks out with kids. Right, got a lot of action at the park here. It's doing great. Okay, we got another dog coming up here close. Yeah. That's a good boy. Yeah, that's a good boy. Let's see what he does here. Very good. How you doing? That's a hairy little, well, I'm not going to make any dirty jokes.
She sure is.
Yeah.
Haley, stop being crazy. You're the one who walked over here.
That's funny. He usually has issues with dogs. We're trying to work him through it. So this is actually really good. He's doing great.
How
You're
old
doing
is
great. 5. He's not my dog, but I work with dogs. But he's
Gotcha.
5.
You gonna play dead now?
And when he's with his owners, he's usually barking and lunging, and
Well, you're doing good.
he's doing great. Same with the kids. He didn't like the kids, people on bikes. He's crushed it. Well, it was nice to meet you.
You too.
You're
Have a
cute,
good
You're
walk.
a cute little girl. You too. Oh, that's great. Yeah, it looks like you want to play too. Excellent job, Wally. You're doing a great job, buddy. I mean, this is how it should go, right? He's giving up all of the controlling behavior that he's previously demonstrated, which is good. This is what it means, right? People misunderstand me when I say you need to dominate the dog, right? This is what leadership really is. Now, what was interesting was last night, Goose actually, Goose dominated Wally last night. If you've seen my recent video, it was Proof Dominance Exists in Dogs Part 2. What that Rottweiler did to the pit bull was pretty much exactly what Goose did to Wally. They had a bit of a standoff, and Goose just put him in his place. And that's what a dog like Wally needs. It's kind of like a little reality check for Wally. I think Wally, for the first time, understood there's a bigger, badder dog out there. And yeah, he got checked. He got some Goose therapy. I love it. You know, Brendan Fouché calls it consequence therapy. So he got some consequence therapy by way of Grey Goose, and he's doing great. It's funny, he didn't wag his tail with his butt, but last night after she did that, he started wagging his tail with his butt. It's very interesting, guys. Listen, you know, for all the naysayers, you are dealing with Mother Nature here, right? And I think a lot of the problem is that people get in the way. So, you know, you get some dogs together, and I think in a lot of cases people are afraid of letting dogs express themselves. Which, I mean, it's understandable because you don't want it to escalate to a fight, right? So there's a certain level of expression that's acceptable, but you want balanced dogs to be able to express themselves and not take things too far. Now, when Goose dominated Wally, it did very much appear like it looks ugly, right? I mean, Wally was on his back. Goose was she was using her mouth, but she didn't bite him, right? Okay, excellent. Hi. Excellent. Kid just ran up and he. Come here. Good boy. Hey. No. See little moments like that. Very good. Very good. See, we just keep him focused. Now that was a more of a pit bull. See, that dog might have been throwing some shade at him. See, these are the patterns we need to be aware of. Because clearly it's not every dog Wally has an issue with. But there might be dogs challenging him, and Wally's response being a more, like I said, Wally's aggression stems more from a dominant place. So if a dog challenges him, his natural response is, all right, you want to fucking go there? Let's go there. Which you have to understand, that's just the dog you have, right? But you see how I handled that? I just let Wally know that don't worry about that dog, And you see that dog's still eyeballing. That dog is still eyeballing Wally. So definitely, that dog is definitely. Now I don't have my glasses on, but likely that dog is sending some challenging body language to Wally. Now Wally didn't have an issue with these kids. Kids ran right up to him. He didn't have an issue with them. And usually has an issue with kids. Didn't have an issue with that dog. But that one, he had an issue with. Okay, so there's a pattern here. Because Bruno was the same way. He didn't have an issue with every dog, but the dogs who challenged him, oh yeah, time to throw down. Time to throw down. And that's the kind of dog he was. So once you understand that pattern, you know how to work with it. Looks like somebody's feeding the geese, ducks, I don't know, something like that. But once you have identified that pattern, though, like I said, you work with it and you just understand that's the kind of dog you have. That's the kind of dog Wally is, right? So challenging behavior can lead to a fight. Or if Wally's challenged, he's going to move into that challenge. Now, he did it with Goose, but Goose showed him, I'm head bitch here. And he submitted to it, right? It didn't escalate to, say, like an ugly altercation. It was, she got her point across, and it was fairly harsh. But Wally received the message and showed her a lot of respect after that. And that's the kind of dominating you need to do, right? So we're not allowing Wally to, just because the dog challenges you doesn't mean, say when you're out on a walk, it doesn't mean Wally needs to feed into it, right? Just ignore the dog. There's a time and place for that sort of thing. Like if we went to the dog park over there and Wally, there was maybe another dog kind of challenging him a little bit, maybe pushing some boundaries, there's no problem. I got no issue with Wally asserting himself to let that other dog know, like, don't fuck with me. That's perfectly fine. We just step in when we need to, right? So we're at the top of the hierarchy, but we're also sort of like the moderators, right? Let's let the dogs work these things out, but we need to know when it's time to step in before things get taken too far. And Wally's done a very good job this week. All right, we're going to head back to the park here, see what he does. He's walking great though. Like I barely even have to use the leash, which is how it should be. Okay. Excellent. Excellent. Very good. A couple of dogs coming out of the park. Hi. Okay. Didn't have an issue with them. What do you think, buddy? Okay, now the pit bull that he was arguing with earlier is not too far from us. Not really having an issue with that. But we'll see. Maybe through the fence. See how that goes through the fence, Wally. Yeah, we'll see. Let's see how that goes through the fence. This will be a really good test. What you think, little man? You're doing great, buddy. You're doing great. Alright. The dog's in here, but... Or the dog's in the park, I should say, but it's not coming over here. So... Yeah, his legs might be hurting. Give him a break. I don't want to push him too hard. Okay, Wally, he's acknowledged the other dog. He's actually wanting to move away, like he was earlier, which I'm fine with. Like I said, far better for him to avoid than to move towards. And it's the same dog, you know, that was throwing shade at him. No. I'm gonna go this way, buddy. All in all, pretty successful weekend, little man. You killed it. Here we have kids on bikes coming up here. Two of Wally's favorite thing to go after. Okay, good. See how he acknowledged? He's acknowledging the existence of, but he's diverting the attention away on his own, which is what you want. Good boy, Wally. There you go. Excellent. That's all you really need to do, guys. Good boy. All right, come on. This is why a harness is not the right tool, okay? See, with the collar, I was able to break that forward momentum very, very easy. And I'm letting him know that I do not want him to do that. Now, that becomes more of a timing issue as well. As I've said many, many times, you want to address the dog when it's fixated on that particular thing. However, Wally was not fixating until they got got very close. So he escalated things from the level of the fixation to lunging rather quickly. But he also stopped as soon as I let him know that I don't want him to do that. Okay, see? They're coming back this direction. No. Excellent. I see there. Great job, buddy. Right? And that's just a matter of repeating it over and over and over again. That's really it. Timing and repetition. That's how you eliminate these things in the long run. Right? That is how you eliminate these things in the long run. This is why, you hear this narrative a lot, especially with the force-free people. They say, you got to work under threshold and blah, blah, blah. And make sure you're, they tell you to don't put the dog in stressful situations. And, say if a dog triggered Wally, they want you to be 7,000 feet away from the dog. And listen, people, if you want to work through these issues quickly, you got to move towards the conflict. Right? Well, this is why I wanted to take Wally to a dog park in places that I know there are going to be kids, places I know people may be on bikes. Everything that sets Wally off is right here. So we're just going to spend time, right, putting him around the things that normally set him off. You're never going to work through these things quickly unless you do that. But I think a lot of people are afraid of moving towards or facing these things head on, and then they just never get resolved. No, it's like if somebody says, hey, my dog does X, Y, or Z, and I got a weekend with the dog, well, the first thing I'm going to do is take that dog to an environment where I know X, Y, and Z are going to be, so I can work the dog through these things. Otherwise, you're never gonna fucking get there.